Who is the Ohio final boss? We're gonna go over his feats, power level, and strength to find out who the Ohio final boss is in the Memeverse. In this video, you'll get the full backstory, power level, and abilities of the Ohio final boss. Sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's gonna get good. Firstly, to find out more about the Ohio final boss, we need to take a look at his origin story. Before the Ohio final boss made it to Ohio, he started in Japan. Ever since the day he was born, he trained relentlessly. By the age of 5, he could already hold his own against some of the stronger characters in the Memeverse like Sylvester. He was even able to beat Big Chungus in an arm wrestle. He'd wander along in his everyday life until something drastic happened. Shrek would appear and steal his suit. The Ohio final boss had to choose between losing his suit and his powers or pursuing Shrek. Before anything went down, he asked Shrek, "Where are you going?" And Shrek would answer, "Ohio." This is what would cause the Ohio final boss to travel across the world to reach Ohio. At this point, Ohio had had its reality manipulated to become one of the most dangerous places in the Memeverse. Not only that, but Ohio had numerous difficulties. Just when somebody sets foot on Ohio, they're immediately put into the Ohio easy mode difficulty. The Ohio final boss would have to complete all difficulties and make himself the final boss of Ohio. So that's exactly what he did, starting with easy difficulty. For him, easy difficulty was a complete cakewalk. He'd easily been able to locate Uncle Dijon and find the exit to Ohio. And out gritty Goku was too easy for him. The Ohio final boss would then skip a bunch of Ohio levels to go to Ohio on Super Max difficulty. Knowing that he only had one attempt, he decided to go all in for this. Firstly, he had to sprint extremely fast from Giga Chad's basement to escape the grasps of Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Then, with his insanely high levels of intelligence, he managed to see John Cena. He then had to reach a checkpoint while traveling at Quickster level speed or faster whilst avoiding the cameraman. After taking directions from Uncle Dijon, he went to follow the Romanian final boss. After following his directions, he made it to the basketball court where he had to 1v1 Baller. They'd engage in a crazy 1v1 basketball game until the Ohio final boss hit Baller with the craziest crossover step back move. After that, he drained the shot. And just like that, he'd beaten Ohio on Super Max difficulty. But there'd be 2 more difficulties that he'd have to beat. First, he'd have to face Ohio on secret difficulty. And then after that, challenge Ohio's infamous final level. The Ohio final level would follow similar themes like escaping the basement and making sure the cameraman can't record you. Everything would be easy up until the Giga Chad challenge. This is where you have to rep 10 multiverses. Throw a galaxy across the universe and create a planet from your bare hands. After that, you'll then have to wear the Meme Infinity Gauntlet. The Meme Infinity Gauntlet is the strongest collection of items in the Memeverse, and just by wearing it, Omniverses shatter from reality. The Ohio final boss did this while having his powers suppressed by the Wise Mystical Tree. After that, the Ohio final boss raced Sonic in a 100-meter dash and won. That's how he cleared Ohio on secret difficulty. But after that, he had to face Ohio's final level. This was an extremely arduous task, which included him finding out what the dog was doing and racing Ultra Instinct Shaggy as well as Infinity Gauntlet Shrek in a lap around the Omniverse. He also had to correctly answer what came first, the chicken or the egg, in a quiz versus the Wise Mystical Tree. On top of that, he had to break Magic John's tempered glass and acquire the reverse card. After that, he had to reverse space-time continuum and then break the Among Us seal on the exit door of Ohio. Through the door, he came into contact with the Ohio Force. The Ohio Force is a streamlined, almost infinite source of power in the Memeverse. After coming into contact with the Ohio Force, he became the Ohio final boss. He's now the final boss of the final level of Ohio. Anyone else that wants to pass the level has to defeat him. Through this, he'd also confront Infinity Gauntlet Shrek and take back his suit. On top of that, it gave him a myriad of abilities and powers. Let's take a look at his first ability, Made in Ohio. This ability lets him freeze time and causality itself. He becomes so powerful that he can even reset time. But this is only the first in his myriad of abilities. Next, we have Wonder of Ohio, an even stronger version of this ability. This lets him manipulate the reality outside of Ohio. This lets him warp space-time, allowing him to bring things like galaxies and universes to the sizes of just grains of sand. Another one of his most powerful abilities is Nature za Oria. This is his domain expansion. Every time he uses this ability, he's able to take his opponents and trap them in an infinite nature maze. In this maze, his opponents are severely nerfed. In fact, the debuffs to opponents from his domain expansion are comparable to that of Light Skin Riz. On top of that, with his recent new ability, Cosmic Ohio, he's able to buff his domain expansion even further. Because of this new buff, his domain expansion now expands to an infinite amount of Ohios. He's able to create Ohio anywhere in the memeverse. And in these Ohios, he has infinite control. In fact, using the Ohio Force, he's even able to donate some of his powers to the Secretaries of Ohio. These Secretaries are extremely powerful with speed comparable to the Cameraman, and strength just weaker than Metro Man. But that's not it. The Ohio Final Boss also has access to the Sigma Force. This is access to an infinite amount of Sigma energy. This Sigma energy is what gave Giga Chad his powers in the Giga comics. In fact, this Sigma Force is so insanely powerful that it gives the user the ability to use Light Skin Riz. Let's not forget some of the strongest users of Light Skin Riz, Kumalala and Sylvester, completely took over the memeverse. Their Light Skin Riz was able to garner millions of supporters. Up next, we have one of his most infamous abilities, the Dragon of Ohio. This ability is insanely powerful for numerous reasons. Firstly, the Dragon of Ohio can absorb energy from its surroundings and expel it for massive amounts of power. This is completely unheard of in the memeverse, and it's even taken attacks from the Meme Infinity Gauntlet. In fact, in a fight versus Big Chungus and his Uno reverse card, the Dragon of Ohio completely absorbed the reverse card and then used it against Big Chungus. In fact, the Dragon of Ohio is pretty much the third strongest weapon in the memeverse behind Excalibur and Mr. Bean's Teddy. Next up, we have Ohio Sharingan. This is where the Ohio Final Boss can pretty much use Sharingan with no drawbacks. He can access it anytime he wants, do I need to say more? On top of that, he now has Ohio Bunkai. In fact, this form of Bunkai is so insanely powerful that memeverse analysts like Jandel5885 are saying that it could split an entire universe at just 1% of its power. I mean, barely any memeverse characters could even do that. The last of his abilities we're gonna go over is Star Platinum. This grants the Ohio Final Boss the ability to freeze time. I mean, this man completely froze rain just by putting his arm out. He's just that insanely overpowered. Now that we've gone over the Ohio Final Boss's backstory and abilities, let's take a look at some of the support characters for the Ohio Final Boss. Firstly, we have the Queen of Ohio. The Queen of Ohio is the main helper for the Ohio Final Boss. Not only does she have the ability to heal other characters in the memeverse, she's been stated in the manga to have healing capacities that surpasses that of the school nurse. On top of that, she's even been able to hold her own and compete with the Ohio Final Boss. To put that into perspective, some characters like Bula and Slicer wouldn't even be able to come close to him. Next up, we have the Secretaries of Ohio. Not only can the Ohio Final Boss donate power to them, but they have their own abilities. One can manipulate all drip in the memeverse. In fact, they were even able to take away all drip from Drip Goku, the former drippiest character in the memeverse. The other can copy the abilities of other memeverse characters. Much like Speed Wannabe, he can copy the abilities of other characters up to about 50% of their max power level. Last but not least, we have the Ohio King. The Ohio King is the second strongest being in Ohio. Not only does he work in unison with the Ohio Final Boss, but he's also able to tap into the Ohio Force. Using this ability, he's been able to liberate multiple places in the memeverse from the villains of the memeverse. And that's the Ohio Final Boss explained. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to follow my other socials and like and subscribe for more.